Hi again, everybody. Welcome into an all-new edition of When the Game Ends. Ben Holden, Mike Carmen. This is episode 23. Carmi, we got a rugby player coming on. We're going to talk with Ryan Matyas, a gentleman that I got to know in the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 years, and had a great career. And he's doing some big things in retirement life. I think it's a great guest for us to have on. As we're going to bring him in, we're going to see he's literally going to join us from where he's working on something in his life after his playing career has ended.
Yeah, he certainly seems to stay busy. I don't know him yet, other than the few minutes we just chatted with him before. I'm looking forward to getting to know him better. And like I said, he's got his hands on a lot of things right now, it seems like. So we'll dive into that with him.
Yep. So we'll give you a little bit of background on Ryan. I know he'll love this. He's listening. He is a former Tucson Barbarian, his high school club that he played for in Tucson, Arizona. Also played for the San Diego Legion in Major League Rugby, one of the proudest franchises in the Major League Rugby group of sides that are in there now in year 8. He's a USA Eagle. He was Eagle number 486, not just with the 15s, but also with the 7s. He dabbles in broadcasting. That's kind of how we met, and does a lot of other things. So without further ado, there he is joining us from San Diego. Ryan, great to see you, man. It's been a little bit since I've seen you. In fact, it's been since, I believe, your last game in pro rugby back in 23, man.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, man, Ben, thank you so much for having me. Mike, thank you for having me on the show. I'm a fan, and any opportunity I have to hang out with Ben, let's call it work. I'm here.
Well, that's very kind of you. And so I want to ask you one thing about your career before we dive in, and we'll get into the transition and your career and all those things, and obviously what you're doing now. I know your wife Jordan's expecting your second child, so congrats to that. And so I had read earlier today, tell me if this is still true, that you are only one of 2 Americans to ever score an international try against the All Blacks. Is that true?
That is correct. My
Wow.
One of my best friends, and he was actually in the line of my wedding. Nate Augsburger was the first, and then a little bit later, he was the one who orchestrated. He's the one who passed me the ball for me to fall over the line. But no, Nate's try was a lot cooler than mine. But yeah, no, that little nice little piece of American rugby history, which is you take a look at my career. I didn't have many great highlights, but yeah, that one gets to go up on the wall.
That is awesome. And I told Carmi, because he is a proud former Minnesota Golden Gopher, like Nate is. Carmi played hockey there, of course. And I told him that earlier. Carmi, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, even as somebody who's, the most I know about rugby at this point is from Ben. And, we had Will Hooley on too. So I'm gathering my rugby knowledge as I go along. But even someone like myself, I'm, very familiar with hearing about the All Blacks. So my question for you is, they are very famous, and I'm going to butcher the names. I'm not even going to try to say it, even though Ben told me beforehand about their dance or their ceremony that they do before the game. How intimidating was that the first time you saw it? Explain to our audience what that was like, because we've all only seen it on video. You've seen it firsthand on the field.
Man, it's when you ask that, like, I mean, obviously I was a rugby fanatic. Like, I wanted to be a professional rugby player. Rugby was never the afterthought. It was never like, oh, if I don't play college ball, like, I'm going to do this. It was always rugby, rugby, rugby. So, I mean, even growing up, I had a photo of the All Blacks doing the haka. I mean, I've watched it, I don't even know, 100 so odd times, or maybe even more than that. But to stand in front of it, it was funny. The night before, I was like, man, like, wow, I wonder how this is going to feel. Like, what an experience. And then when I got out there, like, I just locked eyes with like Richie Mwanga, and I could only see his eyes, and like there was everything going on around it, but like I'm just like, it was like tunnel vision. It was surreal. I wasn't. It's not like it. Like I was like amped up. Like I was like super amped up. Like I mean, playing a test match, you're already really, really in the zone, and like your adrenaline's pumping, but like it was exhilarating to say the least.
I can imagine. So, and then obviously Ben just brought up you scoring against them in international play. Was that that same game, or was that a different game when you scored that game?
Yeah, it was that game. Yeah.
Okay, that's incredible. That had to have been, speaking as you talk about your rugby experience and being a kid, and it's all you wanted to do. I mean, obviously that was me with hockey, right? There was no plan B. There was no, if I don't go to college and play hockey, I'm going to do this, right? So those moments when, stuff you either playing against somebody or, idolizing someone, and then you finally get to either meet them in person or play against them in person. It's such an incredible experience. So congrats on that.
No, thank you, man. No, like you said, it's these are the moments you dream about as a kid. I can't remember how many times, I'd sit there and I'd watch the haka, or I'd be out at a field running around, and I'd just think about, like, man, what if I got to do that? What if I had that opportunity to stand in front of the haka? Like, what would that be like? And then and then it happened, and then it's like, wow, like this is surreal. This doesn't feel like real life. I feel like I'm in a dream,
October 23rd of 21 is when that happened for you, and that's certainly a milestone. And there's a lot going on with USA Rugby that we'll dive into with you as we go along here, Ryan. I know you got a great perspective on that, and we want to get your take on that. So how many different things are you doing? Let's start first with – I'm going to start first with where you're sitting at. So show us what you're doing there, that side of your – if you're cool with that, what you're doing, where you're sitting tonight doing this podcast with us.
Yeah. So my day job or morning to day job from 6 a.m. to 3 or 4 or so. I do project management, working for a company called HPC Development, and we build combo stores in San Diego. So the current site we're on right now is Dunkin' Donuts and Jimmy John's we're building. So give you guys a little bit of the look of the scenery here. So you got the the Jimmy John's side over here with the red and the black, and then you're gonna have your Dunkin' Donuts side over here. There's where you'll be able to get your famous Homer Simpson pink with sprinkles over there. But no, this is an opportunity that came by way of the rugby world, the rugby connection, and fortunately enough, I mean the what I get to do is my job is obviously to manage and oversee, to make sure all the trades are doing what they're supposed to be doing as per, construction plan and safety and all that stuff. And then making sure they work together. I mean, it really is just like team sports, like coaching. So it's really cool to see the similarities that I use in the coaching world to how they apply here on a job site. Hey, we want to be safe. We want to work hard. We want to get the job done, and we also want to do it together because once this thing gets opened, everybody gets paid. So
I have a quick question. I have a quick question follow up on that. So I have, you see the hybrid stores, right, or the combo stores like you're doing. I've never seen Jimmy John's and Dunkin' Donuts. How does that all come together? Like, how does like the two groups go together? Is there some that refuse to partner and you have to vet everyone out, or just kind of walk us through that? That's interesting to me.
Yeah, so there's Dunkin' and Jimmy's sit under what's called Inspire Brands. So they're actually like they at the top from a corporate level, they go to the same place. So basically it's on the franchisee whether they want to do combo stores or do exclusive stores. And our franchisee, Tally Burton is his name, and Matt Hawkins are the franchisees. They've seen an algorithm and a business opportunity of combining the two stores, and they're seeing a lot of success on being able to grab a sandwich and grab a cup of coffee. And then, hey, someone else also wants to grab a couple donuts for work, or vice versa, right? I come in for a donut and actually I want to grab a sandwich as well. So it's a really exciting, really cool opportunity that I'm really, really enjoying.
Well, you're obviously coaching, as we mentioned. So you're coaching the Aztecs. Is this year 2 or year 1 for you there?
It's year 1 at the Aztecs. Yeah, this was my first season at the helm down there.
All right, so let's get a feel of how that's going. I know Carmi wants to ask you about some other things that he found that you're doing in coaching, because he coaches as well in his life after his career. So how's year 1 going with the Aztecs there, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, from a historical standpoint, San Diego State's always been a very strong. You look at, over the course of, they've been around since 1959. They've always been a top level team, like a playoff contending team. They won a national championship in '87, and
Okay.
they've been a top 20 program as of probably about the last 10 years or so. They've kind of dipped down a bit, and to the point now where they're not nationally ranked, and they've had a couple winless seasons. So the opportunity came up for me to be able to work with them. It was a kind of a tight timeline, but we figured it out. And basically in the collegiate rugby landscape, you have there's the have-alls, the have-a-littles, and then the have-nots. So the have-all. I mean, take a look at if you're, for rugby fans out there who are versed in the collegiate landscape, the semifinalists, they're the haves. These are programs that have either varsity status, they have, access to varsity weight room, they have opportunities for, scholarship opportunities. Maybe their team has an endowment. They can tags, they can get players into the universities. So let's take St. Mary's, for example. St. Mary's, every kid who plays rugby at St. Mary's they are at St. Mary's to play rugby. Now, all of the players who play rugby for me at San Diego State, they went to San Diego State to go to San Diego State. And then, someone recruited them on campus and said, hey, come play rugby. So you obviously had two very polar opposites. And, the reality is, what does that look like? That looks like 115-0 when we play. So there's a massive difference between those top level schools and the other ones. Obviously, the other ones, that's us. We are attempting to try and do something similar. We want to, try to raise awareness on campus, work our way into better weight room sessions, better, more funding from the school, more, I guess, hopefully some leeway or some friends at the admissions office to just let 5 guys in, just 5. I just need 5 a year. That's it. You let in however many thousands of kids every year. Just give me 5.
Right.
But trying to get the universities to see that rugby programs are professional development programs. They're human development programs. We're going to make these young men, these athletes, better human beings. And rugby is the vehicle. But, we're going to make some incredible students who are going to stick around and be reliable and graduate and contribute to the university on and off the field. And we've had some incredible successes off the field this year. On the field, not where we wanted to be. I mean, we finished 3-5. That's where we finished last year. We had some close ones. We maybe could have gotten, a couple bounces of the ball could have came our way. But, I mean, the reality is we all know it takes time to turn a program over, and what I'm focusing on is what I can control, right? That's what I did as a player. What can you control? I can't control who gets into this school. But what I can control is developing these young men to the best of my abilities on and off the field, teaching them accountability, respect, and all of those things that we talk about that we know leads to a successful person, but what are ultimately going to lead to a successful program. And the results will come, but it's just it's going to take a little time.
So to my understanding, what you just said is it'd be the equivalent of, Ben, like Division I hockey, and then teams that are in the ACHA, right? It's like club. Now, I don't mean that as like you guys treat it that way. Of course, it's like you guys as coaches, you're all treating it the same way, but there is no differential between, say, a blue blood Division I program and a school that you said is not considered a varsity sport, but they're all playing in the same league for rugby in college. Is that kind of what it is? In terms of funding, I'm talking about, and accessibility and resources and all that.
Yeah. So they play. Yes. Yeah. So it's usually done regionally, and some teams kind of like Cal Berkeley, for example, they run a schedule where they pick who they want to play pretty much. And, St. Mary's, they're in the California D1A conference. So St. Mary's will play Cal Poly. They'll play San Diego State. They'll play, they'll play all these other teams, but they also schedule games on top of those games to because they need better competition. You know, they're probably their only competitive game in the entire conference was them versus Cal Poly, but they'll schedule games against Arizona, Life, Army, Navy, all these teams that'll end up being in the Elite Eight or the semifinals. They'll have already played them throughout the year because their guys need better competition. So it's an interesting nut to try and crack because you have, geographical problems. Like the best teams in the country, maybe the closest one to each other is like a 3-hour flight. Well, or there's like 5-hour flights and 6-hour, 8-hour flight. You got teams all the way across. Like how are they going to play each other on a weekly basis or bi-weekly? And it's difficult. But I know they're working very hard to try and, the D1A conference, being a new coach, the coaches' calls and the administrators, these guys are doing incredible stuff to try and level it out, keep it competitive, keep everyone happy. And, it's difficult to try and keep, a lot of programs where they're at, make all of them happy with their development and who they want to play and when they want to play. And so it's tough, but it's definitely gaining a lot more traction. Obviously the MLR having a draft day where players getting directly drafted from college into Major League Rugby, the connections growing. There's more collegiate varsity programs springing up. There's more funding, obviously with the Olympics. That's been a huge seller, for men's and women's rugby programs. So, and I am a very firm believer that segueing here into rugby growth and development, which I also on other things I'm a part of, rugby into schools. It's the shift needs to go that way because schools have the funding, they have the people, they have the fan base. It's too difficult to try and create. There is a space for clubs, especially youth rugby clubs and men's rugby clubs. Don't get me wrong, but an emphasis on collegiate sports. They have the facilities, they have the resources, they have the trainers, they have the media. It's already there. That already exists. So continuing to put resources in developing those and making those important and mean something. One day rugby becoming an NCAA sport, this thing's going to explode. So
you read my mind because that's exactly I got two more questions excuse me, in regards to you coaching at San Diego State. And I'm going to follow right there because that's kind of where I wanted to start with the two I have for you. What is it going to take to get rugby as a full-on varsity sport? I live in Big Ten country, man. All these schools around here got great club programs, right? What's it going to take? Yeah.
Can I guess quick what one of the reasons might be?
Cash.
I feel like it's a holdup in so many sports is the parity. Is that one of them where they think there's too big of a difference between the top and the bottom right now?
What do you got, Ryan?
Right now it's the universities having the funding to take on Title IX. You got to take on both programs as they should. Okay. They just don't have that. They don't have that excess funding in their athletic budgets to be able to take that on. Or you look at a program. Take a big name collegiate football program. You're like, are you sure you don't have a couple extra bucks you could throw towards
exactly? Yep.
But
exactly.
But the programs who do very well, again, I'll use Cal Berkeley because they're a varsity rugby program. Their alumni got together and said, hey, we're not chucking around the basket every year to figure it out. We're going to put down for an endowment. And that endowment is going to fund the program that will guarantee funding for the program forever. And through that, the university was a lot easier for them to take it on because, hey, we know they're going to be kicking in, like there's sustainability. We know that there's money coming in and there's money being kicked in here. So it's a lot easier for them to be like, yeah, sure, we can do this,
So the other question I have in regard to what you're doing with San Diego State, I know you're doing a lot of other things. Was this coaching thing, was this part of your plan once you retired from playing? Is this something you had a desire to do, Ryan?
Coaching collegially is something that I've had on my, dreams board, if you will, for a while.
Yep.
I really love, for me, it was the being able to work with an athlete at a certain point of their career. I've worked with, I've gone from under 6s and under 8s all the way to, I currently work with, I guess I work ranges right now. I work with literally every age group from under sixes all the way to men's across a couple of different avenues and programs. But the age group from 18, the athlete from 18 to 22 is extremely interesting for me, and I really enjoy it because they're old enough to, they're still young enough to, you can give them some advice and give them a couple of tools where you are going to change and impact their life significantly from, just being a better student, a better dad, brother, businessman, whatever that is. Like, you can give these guys some tools and they will completely change the trajectory of their life into a more successful path. And they're also still young enough to like make those changes and want to make those changes and have faith and have hope that, hey, what I do today does impact my tomorrow. Where sometimes with grown men, it's a lot more difficult for them to see that kind of vision, that dream. They're kind of really set in their ways and their pattern. In college, you're really still figuring out what is my day-to-day, what is my pattern. And then they're also, old enough to where you can pull them in and be like, dude, you're screwing up, and be very straightforward with them and help them out. But also they're in that window as an athlete where from 18 to 22, from a development standpoint, a professional team will still take a chance on you if you got the right stuff. And I'm fortunate enough to have those connections to be able to, make a phone call and be like, yo, I got someone, this kid's got the right stuff. And they go off and and that brings me a lot of joy, because at one point, guys like, Salty Thompson, Brian Green, there's a handful, but they picked up the phone and they made that phone call for me. And that ultimately led to my life. I mean, my significant other, my career, traveling around the world. So if that's, I guess, where my passion comes from for coaching, I want to help those guys achieve their dreams. And then, for those not interested in achieving international sport, I want to help create better people for my community.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's very well said. I mean, that's, I don't coach the college age. I have the guys I'm coaching right now are 13 and 14, but a lot of good players, a lot of guys with a future to keep playing for, into college and beyond, hopefully. But it's something where when you feel that impact or you see it click, right? That's what you're kind of talking about, where you're like, and whether it helps them in hockey or rugby or whatever it is, you're trying to give them life lessons and how to go about doing things and have success. And it's parallel, right? It goes across all facets of life. So the lessons you learn from sports. Now that leads me into my question for you, which had to do with coaching. I would imagine being a college head coach, college rugby, you're busy. You have your own business. You're busy. And on top of that, it appears you're running 3 different youth programs right now. Is that all? Is that accurate?
Well,
You're affiliated with 3 of them.
Okay. So I guess we'll just go from top to bottom. So I'm the director of rugby for Eagle Rock Athletic Club out of Los Angeles, California. They're a newly Division I team. They're Division III for a couple of years. They used to be a Division I team back in the 80s, and they're the oldest club on the West Coast, starting in 1937. I started out as a head coach there a couple of years ago, and now I'm director of rugby. They just got their first playoff berth, Division I playoff berth in over 35 years. So that's where they're at. I'm the director of youth rugby for Ombak Wallabies. So that's under 18, 16s, 14s, 12s, 10s, 6s, 8s, and women as well. And then I'm an assistant coach at Cathedral Catholic High School with San Diego State. Now, again, I know what you're thinking. Where does this time come from? Because he also does project management, but different times of the year, different times of the day, got to wake up at 4 a.m. sometimes every day to make it happen. But, this is life after sports, right? I mean, I'm in a position where, I'm married and I have a kid and another one on the way. And, I wanted to attack my, my post-rugby career the same way I attacked my rugby career. I'm just going to work hard. I'm just going to, I'm going to work hard. And if I want more, I got to work more. And that's what happened as a player. And I'm using that same mindset as a business person, like, hey, there's going to be some really early mornings and a lot of late nights and a lot of 7 days a week. And at the same time though, I chased a career, and I saw a lot of I developed and grew a lot as a person, and that's great. But obviously in the business world, everyone's like, cool, rugby's over. Like, get out there, figure it out. And so, yeah, like I said, I want more, so I'm going to have to work more. And, hopefully things get to calm down here over the next year and a bit, and I get to spend a little more time with my kids at home. But I mean, that's my plan is I want to work now while the kids need their mom. And, once they get a bit older, hopefully financially I'll be in a better situation and I can be around a lot more and be there for those really pivotal, formidable years of, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 into high school, where, being around as a dad is pretty important. So, that's my big grand scheme.
So speaking of your big grand scheme, this is where I get to brag that I found out something that Ben didn't know, which never happens.
He got me, Ryan.
So your wife, Jordan, is that her name?
Yeah.
She played rugby, and not only that, was an Olympian, correct?
Oh yeah, she is. Yeah, she's Michael. Well, she's named after Michael Jordan, so she's Jordan, and I'm Scotty. I'm definitely Pippen.
Wow.
I'm the water boy. No, she's 3 World Cups, 2 15s World Cups, a 7 World Cup, and then a 7s Olympics. I mean, you look at yes, we are both USA Eagles, but for me, it was like, I'm scratching at the door. Threaten Palamo gets a ankle injury, and I get called into camp, and then someone else, Mika Cruz, has a calf cramp, and then I get to train, I get to play, and I get a cap. With Jordan, it's like, hey Jordan, can you jog? You're like, how's your body? Can you run at 50%? Okay, you're starting. Like any point in her career, I think she only came off the bench in a USA jersey like once or twice, like in a 15s match. In 7s, obviously different tournaments and that, but like, yeah, she was an out and out starter her entire career. I mean, absolute world of differences in Eagle career. So yeah, I'm the guy behind the lady for sure.
Well, I wanted to ask you about Jordan, and that was one thing in terms of your transition. I think it was only a month or two after you retired in 23 that you had the first baby, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, your life, it changed in so many ways, obviously, right? But certainly having the first child, that's a change that, as a parent, I can attest to. There's nothing greater in life than that. So going through that, man, like what were the first few months like? Number one, being a dad, and number two, not being a player anymore, Ryan.
Yeah, no, well, I guess I'm very thankful and grateful at the timing in which it happened. I think, you could ask, Ben, you've interviewed, you talked, you've commentated, and a lot of my good friends and guys I've played professionally and internationally with, but
yep.
You could ask any of them. They, my heart, all of my heart went into any team I was playing for, every training session, every gym session. Like I said, I was a rugby fan as a kid, and that was the only thing I ever wanted to do with my life. And I knew when I was in it, I knew that it would end one day. And my thought always was, I didn't want to finish my career and think like, what if, coulda, shoulda, woulda. I didn't want to look back and be like, man, you could have gave more, because I knew it would end. So I wanted to give, like, whatever I got out of rugby, it was because I gave everything and I just wasn't good enough. I could live the fact that I wasn't Perry Baker fast. I wasn't Danny Barrett tough. I wasn't, Lou Stanfield, smashing people, Dave Hodges. Like I wasn't that guy. I worked really, really hard. I was kind of quick. I was kind of strong. But above all, I just wanted to be a great teammate and give all effort that I had. But I knew that I didn't want to live with regret. And so when it did come to an end, I hopefully that whatever that day was, I would be content. But thank God that our planning was pretty on point, that, literally a month and a bit after I finished with rugby, before I could really start to miss it. You're in that off season, like, oh man, I'm glad the season's done. Before I could really start to miss it, my child was born. And like you said, I mean, everyone who's had kids is like, this is the greatest ever. And, I really do feel for players who aren't so fortunate to be able to, if they don't have children just yet and their career ends, because for me it was an immediate lane change. Like I was all in, everything's in on rugby.
Mm-hmm.
My entire world revolves around rugby. And then once my daughter was born, it was like, bam, everything's here. Everything's about this. And I'm very fortunate. Like I attended every Legion home game last year, and I attended some USA test matches last year. And like, I don't, there's not a shred of me that wants to be out there. Like, there's nothing that is like, oh man, I wish I was. Like, I'm just like, oh man, that's awesome. I love seeing my friends. I'm supporting you guys, but nothing inside is like, oh no, like I wish. So I'm, I always tell kids, like, man, when you're in it, like, it sounds so cliche, but just, you won't regret giving more effort. You'll regret not giving effort. Like, don't live with that being like, I could have given more. I could have, if you really do care about this thing, because when it is gone, it is gone, And so yeah. What were the first couple months like when I was a father?
Yeah, let's hear it, man. Yeah.
Washing machine. Like,
yeah, exactly, dude. That's a good funny description. Takes me back.
I think first of all, you're being a little modest about your playing ability, because I did read something. This is a direct quote. It says, with the ability to play center, fullback, and wing, Matyas is a defender's nightmare and a coach's dream. That's pretty high praise. I don't care who wrote it, but as long as you're not writing your own stuff out there.
I didn't write that one. No, I don't know. I've always had a tough time talking about myself, but I definitely always aspired to just be the hardest worker in the room. I always tried to show up early, try to be the first one there. I try to be the last one to leave, pick up cones, like just appreciate and respect the environment. And again, knowing that the end will come. When it comes, I don't know when that day is going to be. Is it going to be an ankle? Is it going to be a knee? Is it going to be a head knock? I don't know. But I just didn't want there to be any stone left unturned that I should have given more, because I respected the hell out of this game, and really loved being a professional, because that's what I wanted to do as a kid. And I knew when times got difficult, when sore, multiple days, preseason, whatever, tours, and I missed my family, it was like, no, like 12-year-old Ryan, this is where he wanted to be. Like, this is where you wanted to be. 15-year-old Ryan, 16-year-old Ryan, moving away from home, moving to Wales, moving to New Zealand, missing birthdays, missing weddings, missing funerals. Like, you sacrificed all of that, and now you're going to give up, and now you're not going to try hard. Like, no. You've given way too much to do that. And that's something that I always had in the back of my mind to make sure to keep me honest and keep me, moving in the direction that I always told myself that I wanted to be,
Yeah, something you said too, you basically summarized this quote, and it's a pretty well-known one, but it's so true. It says, suffer the pain of discipline or suffer the pain of regret. And it's something that's so basic and should be such common sense to people, but there is that. For me personally, like, when I look back at my career, there are times I'm like, maybe I should have done this different. I still have some of those moments, not nearly what I used to, but I think about, and I try to instill that when I'm coaching the kids. I'm like, you leave it all out here, right? And I use it in little examples like blocking shots, Benny. I'm like, it's going to hurt a heck of a lot less to block the shot than it is to watch that puck go in your net, because you didn't block the shot and that was your guy.
Yep.
But just little things like that, right? Suffering the temporary pain, right? But knowing that you left it all out there. That's such a great message for everyone, not just kids, but it's really something. If you don't do that, or you think you may have missed opportunities to do that, you will look back and be like, damn, if I'd only done this, right? So that's a really cool message.
Well, I have a more parental advisory one, but I'll sum it up. I was, back in high school, trying to stay out of trouble. My dad and his buddies would go to the football games, and they'd have a couple adult beverages, and I'd pick them up and drop them off, and go hang out at my friend's house, and then I'd go pick them up again and drop them off at the next place. They call me, hey, come pick us up. And, they bring me out like, my dad's buddies bring me out like a steak or whatever. So I'm in the car, just, pounding down a steak and driving to the next place. And one of my dad's friends goes, Ryan, what do you, and of course had a couple beers. Hey, what are you doing driving us old farts around, man? Shouldn't you be out chasing girls and doing this and doing that and blah, blah, blah. And of course, a couple of my dad's and these are all my dad's like guys that they played rugby together from like the 80s on into the 2000s. So these are all like my rugby uncles. These are guys I bought my car from, I did yard work for, and one of the calmer men of the group goes, hey, don't listen to him. And then they're, oh, come on, man, what are you doing? And as they're getting out of the car, he leans over the car seat from the back and he goes, hey, Ryan, he goes, chicks, booze, all that other stuff. He's like, that's going to be there in 35 years. Your athletic career won't. And then I'm like, whoa. And he got out of the car and I sat there for a second. I'm like, and that's another thing that always stuck with me. I everywhere I traveled to is just like, yeah, all of these things, they will be here in 20 years. My knee cartilage won't be, that's the reality. And it's something I try and, tell all the kids that I work with is all these instant gratification, all these little worldly things, like that's going to be there in 15 years and 20 years and 30 years. All of those things, that's going to be there. Like your dreams, your opportunity, like it's a window, it's a clock, and it's ticking. You don't know if you got this much time or you got this much time. But like if you have a desire and a passion for it, you have to chase it because you will sit with the rest of your life going woulda, coulda, shoulda. And, that's it's just not healthy,
For sure. Nope. Couldn't agree more. It's, it's something where even when you talk with the kids, you just try to get them to understand that all these distractions, all these things, like, and especially, so I don't know if we covered that. I live in Minnesota still, Ryan. So hockey's obviously a huge deal. Go Gophs is right. Go Gophs is right. Nothing else is acceptable. He knows, Benny.
He knows. He's buddies with Nate. He knows.
I love that. The kids, though, it's hard sometimes because especially when you're working with kids that are at kind of the top of their class right now, there is so much more left that you can't stop with, doing all the little things, because otherwise you are going to look back like, yeah, I was the best kid in the state at 14. Maybe, by the time I'm 18, I've been caught by guys because I didn't work, and now it's too late to catch up. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So stuff like that is really good for kids to hear, and it's a great life lesson that, the second that you're not working on something, somewhere else someone is, right? And someone else will catch up to you.
That's right. So, Ryan, you played all your pro career in the States, well, exception of 1 year in a league that went away after 1 year, but with the Legion. And I want to give you an opportunity to talk about that. I'm not sure. I think I messaged you when I watched the Quest for the Shield. I was telling Carmi about it. And even if you're not a rugby fan, you would be absolutely reeled in by watching this thing, man. I mean, it was powerful stuff. I can see it. I can feel it coming through the screen. What's it mean to you have played your entire career with that organization? And still, as you said, you're going to matches, you're supporting them. I know you will the rest of your life. What's it mean to you to have had that experience with that organization for all the years you did?
Whew. Yeah, it's special. I can't put another word to it. It's really is one of a kind. I mean, being the first player to sign for a professional rugby team in the United States, that in itself was an incredible opportunity for me to be a part of American rugby history. Flying out to Colorado and being there for the first ever photo shoot. It's like me, Paul Lasike, Garrett Bender, Pete Malcolm, Seth Halliman, Sebastian Kalm. Man, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to say that I was there from the beginning, and I got to see the league, from very very startup, very startup-y, very humble beginnings to playing in Snapdragon, playing at SeatGeek. I mean, the sponsorships and the media coverage, and now guys are having the opportunity to get out of school and go straight into a professional sport, and the facilities and the resources and the coach. I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure to watch. And I said something in that documentary. I said, I would never ask someone to do something that I wouldn't. I'm not going to sit here and fly off to Japan. I had a contract offer there that was, financially really would have been really great for me. At the same time, if every other USA Eagle at that time took off to take other contracts other places, the MLR doesn't happen, or it doesn't have the commercial viability, or it doesn't grow, or we don't know. And I felt that that was the right thing to do at that time, and to contribute to American rugby and help this thing grow. And having the opportunity for the Legion to sign me for all 6 years and stay there, and the loyalty from them to me and me to them. I mean, it's special. It's a lot of people don't get that opportunity. And I saw a lot of people come through the organization that would have liked to stay long-term, but they didn't get that opportunity. So I saw that as a really a privilege and a blessing to be able to say, nope, I got to play it all at one place. Growing up, I always really liked athletes that stayed in one place. And now I'm sitting here on the other side, and I know that, guys moved not because they wanted to. Some guys did. Some guys did go chase dollars, but other guys were forced to leave. They didn't want to leave. And so the fact that I got to stay there and be a part of it and do it all there was very special. And, now that I look back even more, it's like extremely rare and special to be able to have done that. So, I'm always a phone call away for the San Diego Legion. They gave me my, a platform, connections, life opportunities, and, Major League Rugby is so close and very near and dear to my heart. And that's what I always tell anytime I see any of the executive members from MLR. I'm like, dude, you guys ever need anything? I'm sure there's not much I can do. I'm not that cool, but hey, if there's anything I can do, you just call my phone and I'm there, because I'm here for it, man. I'm a believer in the sport. I'm a believer in the culture. I still recruit people to Legion games every time I'm at a gas station or a restaurant and come across someone. I'm like, dude, you got to go check out this game. It's going to change your life.
It's great. Yeah. Awesome. And I knew that would be a lot of what you said, just knowing you from what I know you from watching that documentary. I got to say, I think the best thing that the organization did after last year was go back to Torero. I mean that because it's sold out every game. It's an intimate environment. I'm sure it was great as a player to play at Snapdragon, but I just think that was a great move, man, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, no, I agree. Snapdragon is a very incredible stadium. I mean, it was pretty surreal to be able to play a professional game in there. Obviously, I played in some great stadiums as an international, but no, I think you're right. The move to Torero, it's been it's fitting. I mean, you can pack that thing out, and the acoustics are great, and the environment's great, and they do such a great job with the fan engagement zone and the food and the music. I mean, it is one of the best. I mean, I'm going to be biased. I'm going to go ahead and play that bias card. It's the best atmosphere in Major League Rugby.
I don't know who pulled the plug, but
did we lose him there?
Maybe the Free Jacks pulled the plug on him in New England, because they would probably argue that, but we'll see if we get Ryan back on here. So
we'll give him a second.
Yeah. No, great stuff from him. And Carmi, I would encourage you to just watch the beginning. It's called Quest for the Shield. And
send me the link. I was going to tell you to do that. I'd love to watch that. It sounds incredible.
The forwards coach, he's a legend. Alex Corbicera was a British and Irish Lion. I mean, he was like royalty in rugby when he played. He was a prop. And the speech that he gives before they played what ended up being Ryan and Will Hooley's last match as pros will make your skin just bubble, man. It was unbelievable. Well, I guess we've lost Ryan.
All right. Well, that's actually good timing, because I have a hard stop anyways. But no, it's he kind of already talked a little bit about, usually what we try to wrap up with your advice and everything else. And basically that message was, leave it all out there so you don't regret it later. And that's a great message.
Yeah. Yeah. He's, I mean, in the times I was, calling his matches, or, had worked with him a couple times, just, the passion you saw, he oozes passion. He oozes hard work. And that's what he was, man. He was a workman-like player, and he just worked hard, man. He, as we would say in hockey, he was one of those fourth line plumber guys that could do everything and would do anything, right? I mean,
Yep.
that's the kind of guy he is. So, well, yeah, well, this is a first. We haven't had a guest cut out on us, but that's the way it goes when you're doing live TV, right? So I know you got a roll. Hope everyone enjoyed Ryan Matyas, episode 23. Next week or next episode, we're going to have a bit of an interesting guest on, in the sense of his game kind of ended twice, Carmi. He played football at Army. Then he served in the Army for 5 years after going to West Point for 4, maybe 5, but 4 for sure. So his game kind of ended twice. Jeff Ejeckham. And this guy, he's got it figured out, man, in life after sports, man. He's doing a million things, kind of like Ryan. He's a great guy, and I think everyone out there will enjoy hearing his perspective on things.
Yeah, I look forward to it. It sounds like a tough one that we're going to have. It's going to be tough to fit him in an hour. In an hour.
It might go a little long.
Sure. Yeah, we might be going a little long with that one. I'll have a lot of questions about his military time. I'm always really interested in that stuff.
Oh, it's fascinating, man. He's a good guy, and got to know him when I was doing their football games. He used to text me, "Hey, can you get me clips of my catches?" Well, he only had like 9 the whole year, because all Army does is run the ball. And he was a hell of a blocker, man. Like he could block. So yeah, that'll be fun. So Carmi, I know you got to go and coach. So good seeing you, my brother. And we'll have everything up on our socials. Keep following us, subscribing to our YouTube channel. Did a little update on there today. So we'll have that going. And I'll tell you what, let's do this. You got to hop out. I'll wrap up with Ryan here. I just got a couple more things.
Oh, he just said he's back. Okay.
There he is. So we'll let Carmi slide, and I'll bring Ryan back in here, and we'll finish up episode 23, another 5 minutes or thereabouts. See you, Carmi.
All right. We'll see you next week.
All right, bud. See ya. Hey, he's back.
My computer died.
It's all good. I jokingly said, because of the timing, the way you said that, the best stadium, the best fan base in the league, and I said the New England Free Jacks must have just pulled the plug on him, because they would argue that. I'm being fun here.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
No,
hey, they have a great atmosphere. There's their field at the line, just a bit confusing.
I know. It's a challenge too for us, because we're never on site, for our matches. So the monitor, you're calling the match, it's a little bit of a challenge, but we're pros. That's what we do. And no, I mean, I just got probably 5 more minutes with you. Carmi and I kind of put our thoughts on it. And I know Carmi really enjoyed talking with you, Ryan. And, I think, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, that we kind of put the bow on the show with, typically is, any advice. I mean, you're obviously killing it, man, in life after your career, man. I'm really happy for you. And it's great to see you're doing so many things. But like, if you could say something to a player that, maybe they got 3 to 4 years left in their career, or whatever point of their career it is, like, what would you say to them about trying to prepare for when those windows completely shut and the playing career is over?
Yeah, I would say start start now. Like don't wait. Like I mean, personally, my avenues were, I wasn't the most studious. School wasn't very interesting to me. I like working with my hands. I like helping people. So getting engaged in, local youth rugby community stuff, that was very helpful, because it also helped me get connected with the community of like other job opportunities and other things going on in the city. So, I mean, and as a professional athlete, you have automatic credibility and an opportunity. Like, you're a pro. Like, this is the knowledge. Like, you have the knowledge that everyone is seeking, and you can make your community and make American rugby better. So, getting involved in local club rugby, but also for me it was landscaping or construction work, which again, work with my hands. But I know for other guys, getting into something, find anything that you're moderately interested in and leverage your rugby connections to help that, whether it's hey, you know what, go volunteer, if you can't get paid to coach, go volunteer at local men's club coach as a local men's club. And then afterwards be like, hey guys, I'm looking for some work. If anyone has anything, I don't really know what I want to do, but let me know. And you never quite know. And that's the other thing I try and let guys know is like, hey, you've spent so much time being a professional.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to be on time. You know how to be reliable. You know how to work hard. Like those 3 skills, that's going to make you more desirable, like a more desirable employee. And you're coachable clearly because you've made it you made it this far. So utilize and leverage your rugby connections. Like there's an alumni network for every single team that you've played for. I mean, now in Major League Rugby is 8 years old, 9 years old, 8?
8. Yeah,
8 years old. There's 7 years of players before you. There's a network there. I mean, so leverage your alumni network and look for an opportunity. I mean, I think as far as trying to get a start, if you don't already know what you want to do, but if you do know what you want to do, same thing. We've sacrificed so much to attain this level of sport. In doing so, part of that sacrifice is not setting ourselves up with internships and getting these great jobs that all of our other friends got when they went straight out of college and into a job. But we now also have the rugby connection and skills, deliverable, transferable skills that can be used in any professional environment,
Yeah. Have you by chance, have you talked to Greg Peterson at all? Like, I know he just retired.
Man,
yes.
Text, literally, we were going back and forth in texts. Greg P. At the top there.
Yeah. How's he doing with we're gonna get him on too, but I'm just just made me think of that. I know you guys are friends, you were teammates. He's a guy that just said goodbye to the game too.
No, we haven't gotten a chance to like properly catch up. We've been like texting back and forth on connections. He's got a buddy that's coming out this way. I got a buddy and a team that's going out. The Legion under 16s are heading to Australia. And I got one of my buddies who's going along who I want to try and connect him with some high performance stuff, do some like shadowing. So we're just kind of linking up each other's friends again, like rugby connections. Like,
right.
I'm linking up my friends with him. He's linking up his friends with me. But we haven't had like a deep catch up, like chat on what he's getting up to and stuff. But I have no doubt he's got his hands into something in a couple different things. Cause he is also one of those guys, he knew and understood that, rugby wouldn't be there forever and started to kind of chip away at things and take a look at, life outside of sport, which is also healthy mentally as well. It always kept me fresh. Over the summers, I'd be working, doing some construction stuff or be out digging holes and it's like 120 degrees outside. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to run a Bronco. I can't wait to be getting paid to run and lift weights. And that's how I always viewed it. I'd line up, fitness day. Well, some guys are like, oh man. And I'm like, dude, no, we don't have to run a Bronco. We get to run a Bronco. Like we're getting paid for this. Like we get paid to run. Like, I want to be here. I'm excited about this fitness test.
That's cool. I want to ask you just a couple more things. Where do you see USA Rugby right here, man? Like, what are you seeing with them, and where do you see the trajectory that Scott Lawrence has them on right now?
It's incredible. I really don't. I called him not long after he got named the head coach, and because I'd recently retired, I played for Scott in 2000, and he was a defense coach with John Mitchell and came in 2017 before he qualified as America's One, and he was my head coach for the APC tour in the fall of 2018. So I called to catch up with him and stuff. But like, man, just hearing his views and his thoughts on how the American rugby landscape and the player development and we still catch up now on players and recommendations and again development of players and what the time and attention he is putting in is, I mean, it's not only the time and attention he's putting in, it's how he's putting it in. He knows and understands the American rugby landscape, the American rugby player, because he was one. He understands that, he didn't come through some school in some other country that had a system that was pre-built in and like years and years and years. He gets it. He understands the American rugby player. So building out a system that is going to help them develop and stay engaged and be successful. Brendan Keane, heading up the Pathways Academy. And I mean, it's the night and day difference. They're keeping tabs on players. Everyone's getting direct feedback, exactly what they need to work on. They've got film, they've got S&C, they've got, mindset stuff. I mean, it's incredible. And I know that this thing is heading in the right direction. It's not, I think it's, I know it is, because there's been a culture shift in the players. And at a point in time, again, in 2017, when I was with John Mitchell, our culture was incredible. I mean, a group of guys giving absolutely everything they've got, the hardest conditioning sessions of my entire life. Everyone was giving it, and we were having a boatload of fun because he created a culture that was, you were rewarded off of hard work. And that's and we got results, plain and simple. And yep. Scott has recreated that culture of getting rewarded off of hard work. Players get rewarded off of how much work they put in. And you have guys in MLR games who are chasing international metric numbers in their MLR game. So they're not only trying to do the best that they can from an MLR standpoint, they're chasing international meters, international ball and play time, international, ruck speed, back in game speed, kicking accuracy. They're chasing, these guys have international numbers they are chasing in professional games. And they have that detailed clarity of exactly what they need to do. It's exciting because I know it's coming, man. It's coming. The storms are coming.
Yeah. And it's a big year, obviously, for our program. And
yes.
I remember sitting with Scott, and that was the first time I met Greg, by the way. And I was in DC before that Scotland match. And I said, I said to Scott, give me the short form of what this whole moonshot thing is. He goes, give me a piece of paper. He wrote down the website. He goes, go watch the video. And I watched, and I was like, I mean, how the hell are you not inspired by that, man? So it's cool to see. And, as you know, I kind of fell into this sport by accident. And I think one of the things for me, you're a perfect example of that. Hooley's an example. Petrie's an example. Colin Howley, all these guys, all you guys that played for our country. It's so much to me like hockey in the sense, I don't know if you know any hockey players, but it's so much the culture, just your culture as human beings is so similar. And I love that. And it's been awesome to be welcomed in by all you guys and continuing to grow in the sport, Ryan. So it means a lot to me to have you on here. And we appreciate you doing this, man. We know you got a lot going on.
No, man. I mean, like anything I can do to help grow American rugby, that's what I'm here to do.
Yep.
I mean, and you come in full force, and your passion and your respect for the game has made you an instant fan favorite. I mean, you really are you're becoming the voice of an American rugby. I mean, you're one of the voices of American rugby, and that's it's what we need, man. It's incredible. Like I said, the passion you bring to it, it's super exciting, and you convey the game in a way that, as a rugby pro, I'll call myself a rugby IQ specialist. Like, it's still
you are.
well, yeah, I guess I am. Yeah,
you are.
Yeah. No. You convey the game in a way that I'm interested, and you convey the game in a way where people who are just turning on the TV are interested and they know what's going on. They're not confused because it's not so deeply intricate about all of these things that they don't know what they're talking about, but you're highlighting the relevant points, you're making the references, and I mean, you're doing a phenomenal job. So I'm like I said, I'm a big fan, and I love your work, and yeah, I appreciate you, bringing me in on this.
Well, thanks, Ryan. That means the world, man. And are you still? I know one of the first times it might have been the first time we met face to face was in the PR7s. I think in 22 was that?
Yeah,
and we worked together. You and Madison were in there doing games with Dallin and I, and that was great. I love both. I love 15s. I love 7s. There's just something about 7s though that it's just the home run is there every time, and it can be, you don't know what touch of the ball it's going to be, right?
yeah.
And as we know, the 15s game is more at times more methodical, right? So I'm probably getting too deep here, but I just love doing them both, man. I love doing them both, and it's grown on me, and you guys are awesome, and it's a family feel, man. It really is. Again, it's from a guy with a big hockey background, so similar and all that. So yeah, man, thanks for this. Congratulations on the second baby. And do you know what you're having?
I do not know. Only the Lord knows. Yeah, we want to keep it a surprise. We're just praying for a happy and healthy. So yeah, we'll find out here soon. Hopefully not too soon, but soon.
Hey, I respect that. When my ex and I had ours, we didn't want to know. We just wanted the same thing, and I think that's awesome, man. So congrats to you and Jordan. Continued success. Thanks so much for doing this. Carmi had to go because I think he'd mentioned he had to go coach a bunch of his kids. So
yeah.
He wanted me to thank you too. He really enjoyed it. We're making him a rugby guy. You're the third former. We had Will, Matina, and you on. You guys are the 3 rugby guys we've had on so far. So thanks, Ryan. Much appreciated. Thanks for your time, man.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it. And sorry. Does this get edited, or is this just a straight shot?
No, well, it's just a straight shot. There's no need to edit it. We filled.
Oh, okay.
Why, do you want me to edit something?
Well, I forgot to add in the other thing that I was doing. I forgot that one of my jobs.
Well, tell us. We're still recording. We're not. I haven't put a bow on the show yet, so you can tell me. What do you got?
No, I've do a partnership with World Rugby Shop.
Yes, I saw that.
Doing some stuff with them. Connecting youth programs and to what they're doing. When I was a kid, I was a rugby fan. So every time I got some money, I ordered stuff on World Rugby Shop. But the other thing I'm doing with them is I'm helping them design some rugby clothes, because I think maybe you saw my story. Is just
I saw that.
I want to leave the house and I want to wear rugby gear because I'm a rugby player. I'm a rugby fan, and Jordan's always just like, "Oh, you're wearing that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And I'm like, "Oh, well, it's like, well, what about that shirt I bought you and this?" And like, it's just plain. There's nothing on it. Like I want to. So just because the rugby gear is a little more flashy and a little more in your face. So I thought, well, hey man, why can't we just create some stuff that's a little more subtle, but then I can still represent. So that's another thing I'm working on with them. And I'm going to be, I'm working on trying to set up a, I don't know when this is going to come out, but maybe, hey, it's the news is out. We're doing a panel at the LA Sevens. So I'll
see you there.
Oh, heck yeah. Let's go.
I'm going to be there. I'm working it. Yeah, that's cool.
Great. Well,
it'll be out. I'll probably release this Friday this week.
Oh,
so
perfect.
Another
Cool.
day or so. It'll be out.
Perfect. Yeah.
What do you got going there? What do you got going at the LA event?
World Rugby Shop in partnership with the Golden Eagles and USA Rugby. I'm just gonna, get some players on a stage, some alumni, and just give them the opportunity to talk about their time in the jersey. Really.
Okay.
I'm trying to bring alumni back to USA Rugby. I think there's, in the years past, basically, there's been a bit of a, whether guys don't get called back or, women get cut or, however people fall away from the sport, as an alumni, what I'm trying to do is bring people back in and trying to give them their time, talk about their time in the jersey, but just I want to try and bring people back to USA Rugby because I truly do believe Scott Lawrence is doing something special. Our sevens programs are, Emily Bidwell winning the women Zach Test winning the bronze medal. I mean, there's some very, very great things. And, I know the men's program is in a bit of a rebuild, and that always happens when you have a new coach. So, but I really genuinely believe we're on the heels of something great. We all need to get behind this thing and get USA Rugby. And I know there's a lot of different, factions and different people wanting to do essentially everybody wants to do the same thing, but under different umbrellas. And we just kind of need to get everyone underneath the same umbrella and just, back our union, like the English Rugby Union or New Zealand Rugby Union and our Irish Rugby Union. Everyone's backing it. It all goes this way. And, we're going to see some success if we can do that.
Love it, man. That's good. I'm glad you mentioned that. And I'll make sure that get together and see you at some point when I'm out there too. I'm excited. It's been that Vancouver one was my first go with World Rugby. Did the test last year, of course, with 15s. But man, that's a grind, man. That's a grind I've never experienced in any point of my career, Ryan, as a broadcaster. I mean, the run of shows like 10 and a half hours. I mean, it's insane. So it's a test of many different things that you got to make it through. So it's a pretty cool opportunity. I'm really excited. So
dude, well, I'll find a way to find your room and bring you a cup of water and bring you a snack to give you a quick break real quick.
As long as you don't give me a leaner on my door, I'll be good.
Never. I would never do that to you.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much for this, and I'll see you in California. That's going to do it for episode 23 of When the Game Ends. For Mike Carmen, who had to go coach tonight, we'll see Carmen again next week on our next episode. And Ryan Matyas, our guest. Ben Holden saying, thanks for watching and go USA.